my fault. She had nothing to do with it.
It's my fault. She had nothing to do with it. Pay attention to this doorbell camera footage. March 7th, 6:23 p.m. A young man on a bike pulls up to a rowhouse in West Baltimore. Delivery bag on his back. He checks his phone, walks toward the door. A man opens it before he even knocks. They exchange words. The man gestures inside. The young man hesitates, then steps through the doorway. The door closes. That young man was Kyle Brewer, 25 years old, DoorDash driver, 3 years on the app, 5-star rating. This was his last delivery. But here's what makes this story different from every other one you have heard. Kyle Brewer was not an innocent victim. And the man who opened that door had been waiting 3 years to meet him. Not because of hate, not because of money, because of what Kyle did to his daughter. And when you hear the recording that was found on the father's phone, you will understand why 12 jurors could not agree on a verdict. Let me tell you about the two men in this footage. Because this is not a simple story. This is not good versus evil. This is something far more complicated. Something that will make you question everything you think you know about justice and accountability, and what a father is capable of when the system fails his child. Curtis Hamilton, 50 years old, widower, plumber for 28 years, ran his own small business, 2 trucks, 3 employees. The kind of man who showed up on time, fixed your pipes, and never overcharged. His wife, Lorraine, passed away after a long illness when their daughter Imani was 16. After that, it was just the two of them, Curtis and Imani, against the world. He coached her softball team. He drove her to college orientation. He walked her across the stage when she graduated. Everything Curtis did was for that girl. She was his whole world. The only piece of rain he had left. Imani Hamilton, 25 years old now. But this story starts when she was 22, junior at Morgan State, communications major, Dean's List, 3 semesters in a row. She had her mother's smile and her father's stubbornness. Everyone who knew her said the same thing. That girl was going places. She had plans. Graduate school, career in public relations, maybe politics someday. She used to joke with Curtis that he better get used to seeing her on TV because she was going to be somebody. Curtis believed her. How could he not? She was the best thing he had ever done. And then there was Kyle Brewer, 22 years old at the time. White kid from the suburbs. Grew up in Towson. Parents still married. Father was an accountant. Mother taught elementary school. Kyle had everything handed to him and still managed to mess it up. Dropped out of community college after 1 semester. Worked odd jobs. Started doing food delivery because he said he liked the freedom. That is what he told people. Anyway, the truth was Kyle had a pattern. A pattern that nobody saw until it was too late. Kyle and Imani met at a party in October. Mutual friends. He was charming, funny, knew how to make a girl feel special. Imani was smart about most things, but she was 22, and she had not dated much because she was focused on school. Kyle was a new experience, someone different from the guys she knew. They started seeing each other. Nothing serious at first. Just hanging out, texting, the usual. Curtis met him once. Did not like him. Could not explain why. Just a feeling. Fathers have those feelings sometimes. Most of the time we ignore them because we do not want to be overprotective. We do not want to push our daughters away. Curtis wishes every single day that he had trusted that feeling. The relationship lasted 4 months. By February, Imani was pulling away. Kyle was possessive, jealous, checked her phone, got angry when she spent time with friends. The red flags were everywhere, but Imani thought she could handle it. She was strong, independent. She did not need her father fighting her battles, so she handled it herself. She ended things, told Kyle it was over, blocked his number, moved on with her life, or tried to. 3 weeks later, Imani's phone started blowing up. Friends sending her links, asking if she was okay, asking what happened. She did not understand at first. Then she clicked one of the links, and her whole world collapsed. I need to stop here and say something directly. What Kyle Brewer did is one of the most serious personal violations a person can commit. Image-based abuse is not just sharing pictures. It is destroying someone's life. It is taking the most intimate moments a person trusted you with and weaponizing them against her. It is a form of severe personal harm. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise. What happened to Imani was severe personal harm, and the law at the time treated it like a misdemeanor. Kyle had not just shared photos. He had recorded videos without her knowledge, without her consent, set up his phone when she was not looking, captured moments she never knew were being captured. And then when she left him, he uploaded everything. Multiple sites with her full name, her school, her social media handles. He wanted to destroy her. He wanted to make sure she could never escape what he did. Within 48 hours, Imani's life was unrecognizable. The videos spread online everywhere. Classmates saw them. Professors saw them. Her internship supervisors saw them. She could not walk across campus without feeling eyes on her, without hearing whispers, without wondering who had seen her at her most vulnerable. She stopped going to class, stopped answering her phone, stopped eating. Curtis found her one night sitting in the dark in her apartment just staring at the wall. That was when she finally told him everything. I have thought a lot about what Curtis must have felt in that moment. Finding out that his daughter, his baby, the girl he had protected her whole life, had been deeply harmed in a way he could not fix, could not fight, could not make right. There is no playbook for that. There is no manual for how a father is supposed to respond when his child's life is destroyed by someone who will face no real consequences. They pressed charges. Kyle was arrested, released the same day. The case went to court 8 months later. Kyle's lawyer argued that Imani had consented to some of the photos, that she knew she was being recorded, that she had sent him private images willingly during their relationship. None of it was true, but enough doubt was created. The jury could not agree. Mistrial. Prosecutors declined to retry. Kyle Brewer walked out of that courtroom a free man. He smiled at Imani on his way out. She told Curtis later that he winked at her. W-Ked like the whole thing was a joke. Imani tried to rebuild. She really did. But the internet never forgets. Every time she applied for a job, her name came up with those videos. Every time she met someone new, she wondered if they had seen her. She could not stay in Baltimore. Too many people knew. Too many reminders. She moved to Atlanta to live with Curtis's sister, changed her appearance, started going by her middle name, tried to become someone else because being Imani Hamilton had become impossible. Curtis watched his daughter disappear. Not physically. She called every week, visited on holidays. But the girl he knew, the one who was going to be on TV someday, the one with the big plans and the biggest smile, that girl was gone. Kyle Brewer had destroyed her without ever laying a hand on her. And the law said that was fine. The law said that was a misdemeanor. The law said move on. Curtis did not move on. He could not. He sold his business, let his employees go, stopped taking calls. For 3 years, he lived alone in that row house thinking about what Kyle Brewer had taken from him, from Imani, from Lorraine's memory. He was not planning anything. Not at first. He was just existing, waiting for what he did not know. And then came the day that changed everything. Curtis had hired a young guy to help with some yard work. Seasonal stuff. Kid was maybe 20. Polite enough. Good worker. They took a break one afternoon and the kid was scrolling on his phone, laughing at something. Showed Curtis. Hey man, check this out. Some video going around. Curtis looked at the screen and the world stopped. He knew that face. He knew that room. He knew every detail of what he was seeing because he had held his daughter while she cried about it 3 years ago. The kid had no idea. Just thought it was funny. Just another viral video to him. Curtis excused himself, went inside, and something broke. Something that had been holding together by threads for 3 years finally snapped. He did not plan what happened next. I believe that the evidence supports it. Curtis ordered food that night, just dinner. He had been ordering delivery for months because he barely left the house anymore. DoorDash, random restaurant, random time. He had no way of knowing who would show up at his door. But someone did show up. And when Curtis opened that door, when he saw that face, the face from the video, the face from the courtroom, the face that had winked at his daughter, something took over. He recognized Kyle immediately. Kyle did not recognize him. Why would he? Curtis was just another customer, just another delivery, just another stop on the route. The doorbell footage shows what happened next. Curtis says something. Kyle responds. Curtis gestures inside. His statement to police said he told Kyle he needed to grab his wallet, that he had an extra tip for him. Kyle hesitated. You can see it in the footage. 1 second, maybe 2. Then he steps inside. The door closes. What happened in that house over the next 7 days, I cannot fully describe. What I can tell you is this. Curtis had tools, plumber's tools, and 3 years of rage that had nowhere to go until that door closed. He kept Kyle in the lower room, restrained. The house was detached. No shed walls. Neighbors were not close. Nobody heard anything. On the 3rd day, Curtis started recording. Not the severe personal harm, something else. He sat Kyle down in front of his phone and he asked him questions about Imani, about the videos, about consent, about what he had done and why he had done it. Kyle answered. He answered everything. For 1 hour and 13 minutes, he confessed to every single thing, that the recordings were secret, that Imani never consented, that he did it because she left him and he wanted to ruin her, that he had done similar things to 2 other girls before her but never got caught, that he smiled in the courtroom because he knew he had won, that he thought about Imani sometimes and laughed. Curtis's lawyer tried to use that recording at trial, tried to argue that Kyle was finally telling the truth, that Imani had been vindicated, that this proved everything she said was real. The judge threw it out. Coerced confession made under duress. Inadmissible. Of course, it was. Kyle was being held against his will. He would have said anything. That is what the law says. That is what the rules require. But I have listened to that recording. It is public now. Spread online like everything else in this case. And I can tell you that Kyle Brewer was not just saying what Curtis wanted to hear. He was bragging. Even then, even in that lower room, he was proud of what he had done. On day 7, Curtis called 911 himself, told them exactly where to come and what they would find. He was sitting on his porch when police arrived, did not resist, did not run, just said one thing. Now, she can have her life back. But she could not because Kyle Brewer did not survive that lower room. The medical examiners report detailed injuries I will not repeat here. What matters is that Kyle was not alive and Curtis was charged with first-degree unlawful killing, unlawful confinement, unlawful restraint, serious attack. The prosecutor wanted the maximum sentence. Said this was premeditated extreme abuse. Said Curtis was a monster who had taken the law into his own hands. The defense told a different story. They talked about Imani, about the videos, about the trial that failed, about a father who watched his daughter's life get destroyed while her abuser walked free. They played recordings of Imani's testimony from the original case. They showed the jury what Kyle had done. They made sure everyone understood that Kyle Brewer was not an innocent victim. He was a dangerous offender who had finally met someone who would not let him walk away. The first trial ended in a hung jury, 7 for conviction, 5 for acquittal. The second trial ended the same way, 8-4. Prosecutors tried a 3rd time. This time they offered a plea. Voluntary unlawful killing, 15 years. Curtis took it. He was 53 by then. He will be 68 when he gets out. If he survives that long. Imi visits him every month. She moved back to Baltimore after the trials, uses her real name again, started a nonprofit that helps victims of image-based abuse. She speaks at schools, at conferences, on podcasts. She tells her story because she finally can. Because Kyle Brewer cannot hurt her anymore because her father made sure of that. I am not going to tell you what to think about this case. I am not going to say Curtis Hamilton was right. Taking a life is not justice. Extreme abuse is not justice. What happened in that lower room was horrific. Regardless of what Kyle had done, 2 wrongs do not make a right. I know that. You know that. Curtis knows that, too. But I will say this. The system failed Imani Hamilton. Failed her completely. A man deeply harmed her in the most intimate way possible. Recorded her without consent. Spread those recordings online to destroy her life. And the law let him walk away with a wink and a smile. When the system fails that badly, when it tells a victim that what happened to her does not matter, when it protects dangerous offenders and punishes the people they hurt, something breaks in the victim, in the family, in the father who has to watch his daughter become a ghost of who she used to be. Curtis Hamilton is not a hero. He is a man who did something unforgivable because something unforgivable was done to his child. He is a father who ran out of options and ran out of hope and ran out of faith that anyone else would ever hold Kyle Brewer accountable. He was wrong to do what he did. But I understand why he did it. And if you are honest with yourself, really honest, you understand, too. The doorbell footage is 12 seconds long. Kyle pulls up on his bike, walks to the door. Curtis opens it. They talk. Kyle steps inside. Door closes. 12 seconds. That is all it takes for a life to end and another life to be destroyed.